to PFL press conference. This Friday night, $6 million and 6 world titles are on the line, all taking place inside of Madison Square Garden inside the Hulu Theater. Want to thank you guys for joining us here at home, and also to all our media who are here with us today. All right, here is your complete ESPN pay-per-view fight card. 6 world titles and 1 special event. And now, what do you say we get to the fighters? Introducing first, in the light heavyweight division, Umar Akhmedov. His opponent, Robert Wilkinson. In the welterweight division, Delano Taylor. His opponent, Sadabu C. In the lightweight division, Stevie Ray. His opponent, Olivier Aubin-Mercier. In the heavyweight division, Mateusz Schiffel. His opponent, Ante Dilia. And now the co-main event in the featherweight division, Bubba Jenkins. His opponent, Brendan Loughnane. And in your main event, in the women's lightweight division, first, Larissa Pacheco. Her opponent, Kayla Harrison. And now, please welcome the CEO of the PFL, Mr. Peter Murray.
Good morning. Hey, it's great to be here in New York with you all. Welcome to the 2022 PFL World Championship press conference. Here we are in New York City, the home of the PFL, our corporate headquarters, with our partner ESPN Plus. We're excited to stage the PFL's first ever pay-per-view event on ESPN this Black Friday at Madison Square Garden at the Hulu Theater. These fighters are going to make history this coming Black Friday. It's very exciting. I'd like to thank our fans, our partners, our media for joining us here today, but also for the support throughout this incredible season. It's been an incredible journey actually following all these fighters competing through a grueling format, the regular season, the playoffs, to get here to this championship. And a special thanks to Celsius, the PFL's, I'm making the announcement here, the PFL's new official energy drink partner and presenting sponsor of our championship. So thank you, Celsius, really appreciate it. Thank you. And now let's turn to the 12 of the greatest fighters in the world right here with me on stage. I mean, these fighters, once again, they've earned their right to be here in New York City at MMA's richest night, an epic event that's going to take place in 2 days. You know, each of these fighters will compete, and 12 fighters here on the stage. 6 will earn the right to be champion, get their belt, and the winners will earn $1 million each. And that's a massive payday in this sport. And our focus, and life-changing money, and our focus at the PFL is to give greatest fighters around the world the opportunity to compete against top competition and on a global stage. And we're really proud of what we accomplished together. And we're here to support these athletes' journeys. And that really, Ray Steffo, our president of fighter operations, he sets the tone. Our focus is to be a fighter-first organization. That is our mantra. That's what we live by. That's what our team focuses on. So, you know, I appreciate all the team's effort, you know, at the PFL to not only the fighters, but the team who executed an incredible season this year. And we have a lot of achievements. You know, before we open it up to the media to talk to the fighters, because that's why we're all here, and I want to touch on 2022, some of the PFL's accomplishments, as well as what we're excited about in 2023. So, yeah, number one, PFL has solidified its position as a leader in the sport globally. We are, by every metric, the number 2 MMA company in the world. We've, on average, our PFL broadcast is up plus 40% year over year since we launched the PFL in 2018, making the PFL the fastest growing league in the world, beyond combat, in all of sport. So we're really proud of that achievement, and more to come. Social following, as it relates to our fan base growth here in the U.S. and internationally across all social channels. Our social followers are up plus 35% year over year. On the fighter side, you know, Ray Steffo and the team are very focused in, you know, the top fighters in the world. And over 30% of our fighters on the PFL roster are ranked in the top 25 in the world. These are some of the best athletes, some of the best mixed martial artists, bar none, in the world, competing in the toughest test in MMA. This sports season format, and you're going to hear from these fighters. This is no easy task, but our fighters know who they're fighting, when they're fighting, and what they're fighting for. They fight with purpose. There's a beginning and middle and end every season, every year. So we're excited about that. On the international front, our fighters, we have over 27 countries represented on the roster. This is a global sport. The PFL is a global property, and our partners, the fighters, from around the world, and you know, more countries from around the world are leaning in to develop talent, and you'll see that roster in terms of the number of countries represented in our roster continue to grow. Keeping with on the international front, we've expanded our distribution to over 160 countries. The PFL, our live events and year-round content is distributed on premium sports platforms in over 160 countries, as I mentioned. And, you know, it touched on Celsius earlier. You know, brands around the world, global brands, leaders, brands that you all know, we all respect, like Bud Light, like IBM, DraftKings, Bose, and many others are looking to now MMA, this passionate young fan base. This is the youngest fan base in all major traditional sports. Over 640 million fans around the world. MMA is mainstream. There's so much more growth ahead, and major brands are now looking to the PFL to access and engage with these fans. So we're really excited about not only the strength of our roster, but the strength of our media partners and the strength of global brands who are also going to play a role to advance and grow the sport and support these fighters' journeys and help, you know, provide fans more year-round quality MMA events. And that's what we're focused on. And then before I open it up to questions, you know, for the athletes, 2023. So after this Friday on Championship, yes, history will be made, but we are going to focus. You're going to see the PFL lean in and double down on the number of live events in 2023. We'll have 5 fight franchises, 26 live events, in addition to other year-round content. And our focus is year-round engagement and experience for fans with some of the top athletes in the world. But these 5 franchises, starting with the Combine. So, what's the Combine in MMA? Just think NFL Combine meets NBA meets MMA. Invitation only, invitation only event where Ray Sefo and the team get to analyze fighters' mental, physical capability inside and outside the cage. It's all about discovery of new talent. So we're really excited about the Combine. And then secondly, the PFL Challenger Series on Fubo. We launched this series last year with our partner Fubo TV. It was the inaugural season. The format was also new to MMA. You're talking about think American Idol meets MMA. We had icons of the sport along with fans weigh in on who should get, which fighters should get, based on their performance, should get a contract with the PFL. So that was a new format, 8 events. We'll be bringing that back in 2023. That premieres Friday, January 27th, 8 consecutive Friday nights for early stage pro fighters who are looking to not only get a contract, but to aspire to get into the league season in 2023. And then following the Challenger Series, those 8 events will then kick off the 2023 league season on ESPN, every event on ESPN, linear main network, as well as simulcast on ESPN+. Each one of our events, the regular season will start in April and run through June. We'll be back in August for the playoffs, and sometime the latter part of next year, we'll be back with the championship, and it's very likely the championship will be executed outside the U.S. Next year, also on pay-per-view. And so that gives you a sense of what's coming. But after when you think about Combine, Challenger Series, league season, and then we have pay-per-view events. And in pay-per-view events, while the championship here is going to be on pay-per-view, the PFL, we're launching a super fight pay-per-view division where these are big co-main events. Fighters, fans want to see fights that will go down in history. Major needle mover talent combined with uniquely curated cards. The super fight division will have nothing to do with the season format. It'll really focus on fights and fighters fans want to see. So we're very excited about that. We'll be sharing those details in the early part of next year. And then what I'm really excited about is international expansion. And while we distribute our product, as I mentioned, to 160 countries around the world, we're focused on advancing and growing the sport and giving fighters throughout different countries around the world and regions opportunity to compete regionally in their countries against top talent from those regions, staged in those countries, presented in prime time on major media platforms. Earlier this year, we announced PFL Europe, which will be the first of 6 regional PFL leagues around the world that will be executing within the next 3 years. So PFL Europe was made possible in partnership with DAZN. We're really proud of that new and growing relationship. And our vision of the sport is to execute these regional events or regional leagues, giving these fighters an opportunity to become champions of those regions. And then we'll activate pan-regional competition. But the top talent in these regional leagues will then have a clear path and an opportunity to get to PFL Global. So essentially making or creating the Champions League of MMA. That is our focus. I mean, in many parts of the world, hope is the athlete's strategy. And the PFL is there to solve that, to create a true professional system in sport to develop talent at different stages of their career and ladder it up. So we're very excited about that. That's what we're investing in. We're investing in the brand. We're investing in the product, these events, but we're also investing in fighters around the world. And we know fans want access to more of this content. So, I can't tell you how proud I am of what our organization has achieved in a very short amount of time. In less than 5 years, we are in this position. And in 5 years' time, we will be not only number 2, but truly a co-leader in the sport. This will be an Olympic sport. We have Olympians right here in our league, right here on the stage, and we're excited also about advancing that cause. And so I'll wrap it up here.
Olympic champions.
Olympic champions, excuse me, of course.
Multiple.
Multiple.
Not just me.
Of course. So, but what I would say is, beyond what's going to happen on Friday, we couldn't be prouder and more thrilled to be in this game today. It is the fastest growing sport in the world. We are the fastest growing league in the world, and so much more to come, from the PFL for fighters and fans. And one last announcement here before I turn it to one of the best play-by-play guys in the business, Sean O'Connell, and he'll be taking questions from the media and giving the fighters an opportunity to share what they're thinking about right now. But Wiz Khalifa, who's a PFL investor, he's part of our ownership group, obviously award-winning music artist. He's going to be opening up the show in Madison Square Garden at Hulu Theater on Friday night in grand fashion. He'll kick it off big. And now I'd like to throw it to Wiz because he wants to share a few words with us.
Yo, what up, Pete? Thanks for the love. I've been a huge fan of PFL and MMA for a very long time, and it's been an absolute honor to join this league as an owner, and I'm beyond geeked up for the championship and watching our fighters battle it out for those $1 million bags. Friday, November 25th, the PFL World Championship, Hulu Theater at Madison Square Garden. Me and Taylor Gang will be in the building, not only to watch the 6 world title fights, but we'll also be hitting the PFL stage for a special live performance. To all my fans in New York, make sure you guys come out and catch me. And to the fans that can't make it, make sure you tune in to ESPN Plus pay-per-view.
Thank you, Wiz. Okay, so in closing, I wish our champion fighters, the best of luck in 2 days on Friday night, live on ESPN Plus pay-per-view. We're looking forward to an exciting event. And now I'll turn it to Sean O'Connell to open up the dialogue. Thank you so much for coming. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone, for being here. Obviously, we're very excited about what's coming up on Friday, not only because it's our championship, but because it's our first venture into pay-per-view. And I'm jealous of these fighters. I have really positive, strong memories of fighting at the Hulu Theater for a championship. So these days are pretty special, and I hope everyone's acknowledging that and soaking in these moments. It's really, really cool. You do have a responsibility to carry this organization into the pay-per-view era, which is more pressure than I ever had to deal with as a fighter, but I guess that's neither here nor there. We're going to open things up for the media here in a second, but I wanted to start the conversation with our main event. And Kayla, this is being billed as your biggest rivalry in the PFL. It's the third time you fought Larissa Pacheco, but I think it's safe to say, even though you beat her twice, she is a very different fighter on a 5-fight winning streak that includes 5 finishes. And the question with you, whether it's fair or not, is what will happen if Kayla Harrison gets hit hard for the first time in your career? We haven't seen you tested in that manner. So what is the answer to that question? What happens if Kayla Harrison gets hit by the power we've seen from Larissa Pacheco?
I mean, can you call it a rivalry if you've never won a round? I don't know if that's fair. I don't want to put that kind of pressure on Larissa. It's not a rivalry. She has nothing to lose. Just because you don't see me get hit in a fight doesn't mean I don't get hit. I train hard. I train harder than pretty much anyone I know, and I put in the work so that on fight night it looks easy. So I get hit. I'm not worried about getting hit. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to instill my will one round at a time, 1 minute at a time, one exchange at a time, one breath at a time, and I'm going to break her.
Main event, very excited for that. Our co-main event, 2 rising featherweights who I think are at their very best that we've ever seen them in their career. Bubba Jenkins. We talked about Brendan Loughnane as being a pure striker and a guy that you beat with wrestling. To get to this fight, he negated a powerful wrestler, a guy that you fought in Chris Wade, and showed that his wrestling is no longer a weakness in this game. So if wrestling is no longer the advantage in this fight that it might have been had this fight taken place a couple of years ago, how do you beat Brendan Loughnane?
I'm fighting for $1 million in a world championship, and we've done everything in this camp to be as well-rounded as we possibly can be. This is the biggest stage of mixed martial arts, and I have done amazing job showing all of my mixed martial arts ability. So I think with 25 minutes on the clock and as smart and athletic and technical as I am, I believe I will be putting on all of my attributes on display 25th.
Brendan, the flip side of that coin, right, is that your striking advantage. Bubba has shown that he is a complete mixed martial artist this season. He's really come on. The Ryoji Kudo fight especially, we saw some fine work from him in the stand-up. So if you don't have the distinct striking advantage now that you might have had in the past, same question for you. How do you impose your will on a man like Bubba Jenkins?
I just truly believe that I'm the better mixed martial artist all around. I've been doing this shit longer, and 25th's my night. That's it.
Another guy who's had a really incredible journey in 2022, Delano Taylor, a newcomer to the league, started, as Pete mentioned, on our Challenger Series, and then was not guaranteed a spot on the regular season roster. Got a late notice fight and another late notice fight, and then an opponent change or two, and obviously beat one of the legends of the sport in knocking out Rory McDonald to earn his way to this chance. Delano, having had to fight an extra fight over the season format and the Challenger Series just to get here, now the opportunity is in front of you for a championship and $1 million, but you have to get through one of our most experienced guys, someone who's been through this format, now his 4th season with the PFL.
Experience is going to come with me as well on Friday.
Great fights coming up. I'm going to get out of your way. You're the media. You probably have better questions than I do, so I will get out of your way, turn the floor over to our gathered media, and I'll be back in just a few minutes. So please, keep the questions coming, and we'll see you in a little bit.
Kayla, just want to start with you if we could. You're in kind of a unique position here, right? You're going for your 3rd world title, which is incredible, but you've done this twice already, and we know next season you're focusing on something different with super fight. So I guess, what does this fight mean for you?
Oh, I'm excited for Friday night, man. I can't wait. It's been a great camp for me. I feel like I'm in the best physical shape of my life. I feel calm. I feel ready. I feel like a killer. And I know that on the other side of this fight are a lot of good things. I was joking with Sean in the back. He was like, so what, aren't you going to go crazy if you don't fight 4 times? And I was like, you know how like wives make honey-do lists for you? Like honey do this, honey do that. I got one of those for myself. So I'm going to be pretty busy, and I'm looking forward to it, looking forward to spending time with my kids. But the focus is Friday night. I got to get through that and Pacheco, and then it'll be good.
Yeah. In your judo career, I know you'd faced the same opponent like multiple times, right? So I'm just curious, like, what's the biggest key in that, right? Because, I mean, on the one side, I guess there's familiarity, but on the other hand, like, you could get complacent and be like, well, I beat her twice, like, I got this. I guess what's the biggest key to remaining successful when you're facing the same opponent multiple times?
I mean, I think for me, it's always been about staying humble and staying hungry. You know, I know that she's young, she's hungry, she's a killer in her own right, she's got nothing to lose, and she's coming to take my head off. And I think about that every time I maybe don't want to train, or I maybe don't want to go for a run, or I maybe want to sleep in. I think about that, you know, and I stay a dog. I stay working harder. I stay grinding because she's coming for me. And if I'm not completely prepared and I make a mistake, she's going to capitalize. So it's my job to be the best version of Kayla Harrison on Friday night.
And last thing for you, Kayla, I mean, obviously, Sean mentioned, the start of pay-per-view. I mean, it's a whole company effort, right? But you're certainly one of the faces of the company. Do you feel like personal responsibility for the success of that? Or, like, does it add anything to you that, like, hey, I got to make this thing work?
I mean, in all honesty, no, just because it's not like I'm in on the board meetings where they say, hey, we're going to make this a pay-per-view. My job is to fight and to win and to go out there and showcase my skills and put on a show in that way. But I don't feel responsible to my paycheck's the same, right? Yep. Everyone's paycheck's the same on Friday night.
Fair enough. And for Larissa, if I could, Larissa, obviously you've fought Kayla twice before. I'm just curious kind of what you're expecting for her the 3rd time around. Are you expecting to see the same fighter? I know you've prided yourself in the changes you've made since then. Do you think she's the same or she's changed?
Larissa, você já lutou com a Kayla em 2 vezes, essa vai ser a 3ª. Como é que você vê essa luta? Assim, você falou que você mudou muito. Você vê mudança no jogo dela também?
Não, assim, eu não vejo muita mudança no jogo dela, mas acredito que a gente vai fazer um grande combate. Ela quer isso tanto quanto eu, ela quer se manter campeã e eu quero me tornar campeã. Então eu treinei muito para isso e acredito que a gente vai chegar lá e vai dar um show.
I don't see a lot of changes in her game. All I know is she wants this as much as I do. She wants to stay champion. I want to become a champion. All I know is we're going to put on a great show Friday night.
And last thing for me, for Lewis, so what would mean more to you? Would it be becoming a champion or would it be being the first person to beat Kayla Harrison?
O que significaria mais para você? Se tornar campeão ou ser a primeira pessoa a ganhar da Kayla?
Acho que as duas coisas, né? Eu quero tanto me tornar campeã quanto eu quero essa revanche. Eu acho que ela já está na vantagem, já ganhou 2 vezes. Acho que agora é minha vez. Me preparei para isso, então essa é a meta.
I think these two things go hand in hand. It's like a combo. Kayla's, she got the upper hand at this point in time. She's 1-2. I think this is my time. I've worked hard for this one.
My question's for Stevie. You mentioned that about 4 years ago you trained with OAM, and I'm just curious if you can talk to me a little bit about that and what weaknesses you saw in him that maybe he still might have.
Yeah, we trained together. The last time would have been 4 years ago. I went to TriStar a few times, so we've done a little bit of work together. Not too much. I mean, we've rolled together. We've done a couple of sparring sessions. I wouldn't say there's been anything to take from it. Anything that we've done sparring, you would see watching the other person's fights anyway. I mean, you can watch his fights and see what kind of fighter he is, what his strengths are, what his weaknesses are, and then obviously training together, you see that as well. So I wouldn't say we've done too much together, and yeah, like I said, the last time would have been over 4 years ago. So not too much happened. I'm not sure how obviously he feels, but yeah. And that's the fight game, Sometimes you fight people you've trained with, sometimes you have to fight your friends, and when there's $1 million on the line, it doesn't matter who's in front of me, I'm going to try and knock them out.
I don't want to ask OAM the same question. He says he wasn't sure how you felt about your training with him. Do you have any comments?
I actually found some video of us sparring like a couple of weeks ago. And it was interesting because he did some mistake in those videos that we didn't see. No, I'm kidding. I don't have video. No, the same as him. Like, I mean, we trained together, but it was 4 years ago. Who cares? Who cares? It's gonna be in the cage. That's everything's gonna happen. And like he said, we were friends, and we are not friends this weekend, but we're gonna become friends again after, if he's okay with that. But yeah, who cares? To be honest.
And I also wanted to ask, you mentioned that this might be your last season and potentially even your last fight. Does that make you a more dangerous opponent?
Well, for sure, I'm always going 100%, but there's something special about this fight. That's for sure. It's probably the biggest fight of my career, and I see that one as my last fight. But I'm pretty sure next year I'm gonna wake up at some point and say, "Fuck, my life is useless," and then I'm gonna come back. But probably like 90% of fighters actually. So yeah, let's see what happens.
And I've got one last question for both Bubba and Brendan. On Monday, you guys were at the Empire State Building and you were having fun with each other, joking around. How do you turn that off and want to fight each other?
I've been fighting a long time, since 2008. I fought friends, I fought people I hate, I fought good competitors, bad competitors, you name it, I've been there. I actually was on The Ultimate Fighter and shared a bed, well, not a bed, that was bad. Shared a bunk bed with a guy after 8 weeks, and then we had to fight each other. So that's, you know what I mean, Bubba's a great guy. I'm not going to sit here and like, oh, I hate him and this and that and try and make up some fake rivalry for all you guys, but I will try and punch a hole in his head on Friday night, and he'll do the same to me, and we'll all enjoy watching it.
Love him or like him, I'm definitely going to knock his head off for $1 million. I grew up with Lance Palmer. We've been wrestling in different tournaments in middle school, elementary school, things like that. And for less than $1 million, I tried to knock his ass out. So being that he's an English guy, not a guy I grew up with, not an actual foe, but also someone that's sitting on the other side of the cage for me. I like him. I love my children. So it's him or them. And he got to go. He got to go.
Anik Subramanian, Fightbook MMA. Omari, I had a question for you. After a challenging 2021, you've had a terrific season this year. What changes did you make in your training camp and lifestyle?
Omari, вопрос вам. У вас были небольшие проблемы в 2021 году. Сейчас у вас был очень успешный сезон, все продвигается. Вы что-то изменили в своем подходе, в тренировке? За что вы благодарите свои успехи в этом году?
Да, я к этому бою готовился с большими спарринг-партнерами, потому что он выглядит больше меня. Да, я больше начал тренироваться. К тому проигрышу я просто немного халатно отнесся, наверное, можно так сказать. Я думаю, это все.
I believe possibly in 2021 I didn't feel enough pressure. That took me a little time to warm up. This year I've been having more fights. Specifically coming to this fight with Robert, I was mostly training with heavier partners because it's a little bit different weight advantage for him. So whatever precautions I needed in style and partners, I applied this year, and I think I'm in the best shape right now.
And thank you. Rob, MMA in Oceania has been on the rise in the last 10 years. We have former UFC champions in Israel Adesanya and Robert Whittaker. What would it mean to bring another belt back to the Oceania region?
Yeah, it'd be awesome to be the first Australian to bring back a PFL World Championship. The third ever champion from Australia worldwide. So yeah, it'd mean a lot to me.
Hey, Mr. Postman, loving the kicks today. Just wanted to ask you, did you get your cronut yet?
Unfortunately, no. I have not gotten the cronut yet, but it's on the way.
That's okay, man. We're going to have you covered. After fight day, we'll have them for you. We'll make sure that you're covered. And we're fighting for the cronuts. No matter what, each guy's going to get one, but the winner gets the rest. So.
That's all I like to hear. That's all I like to hear.
Don't worry, we're bringing enough for everyone. Don't worry, we'll share.
Okay, let's go.
And then, Sadibu, I wanted to ask, we actually had Coach Nixick on our show recently, and I was curious, was there anything different, being from a striking background, was there anything you've picked up working with a camp that has a little bit more of a wrestling background to use offensively in your game?
Whereas, first and foremost, like you mentioned his kicks, so I need to show mine.
I didn't see yours. Okay, all right.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
I brought it, so I wanted to. All right.
Love it.
Okay. So I came to Vegas in January, one-way ticket from Sweden. I had no idea how long I was gonna stay. The guys took me in and made me feel at home, and I've been growing and I've been improving with these guys, and it's been amazing. For me, just be with like-minded people. Like Kayla said, some days you wake up, you don't feel like training, you don't feel like, but you just see the other guys in the gym pushing, and you just follow the lead, and it's been amazing. And I believe that you guys can show the improvements and the evolution of Sadibu.
Hunter, last year you were very close to get the title, to get the $1 million. What's the biggest lesson you bring to this season?
Znači, prošle godine bio si blizu da osvojiš titulu. Šta si još dodao da ovu godinu osvojiš?
Pa mislim da sam prošle godine bio na neki 56% svojih mogućnosti, jednostavno nije mi išlo. Smatram to neuspjehom. Drugo mjesto, ove godine sam spreman osvoji i vjerujem u to.
Last year he was at about 50 to 60% of his skills, but this year he's full prepared and ready to take the belt.
Matheus, ano atrás você estava lutando por uma vaga no Contender Series e agora você está a um passo de conquistar $1 million. como se preparar mentalmente para uma virada de mesa tão grande, tão rápida?
Em português ou em inglês?
Fala em português e eu traduzo depois a pergunta.
Tá.
So the question was the same question that was asked for Ante. Clarity for everyone.
Eu acho que tudo acontece na vida de uma maneira que ela tem que acontecer. Eu acho que eu não estava preparado para aquela situação, mas a vida é engraçada. Acho que eu tô aqui onde eu tenho que estar hoje. Estou muito feliz de estar aqui dentro do PFL. Esse é meu primeiro ano como peso pesado e meu primeiro ano sendo finalista. Vou fazer luta por $1 milhão, então acho que isso compensa aquela derrota que eu tive lá. Não era para eu estar lá vencendo aquela luta, era para eu estar aqui dando essa entrevista para vocês hoje.
Everything in life happens for a reason. I look at all my wins and all my losses, and the turbulent 2021 I had as things that drew me and took me to where I am right now. I was not supposed to win those fights, and these things all culminated in me being here right now answering your question.
É uma revanche, você já enfrentou ele. O que muda? Qual o segredo para trazer a vitória diante de um atleta que já te venceu?
This is a rematch. What changes do you make to your game in order to beat a guy who's beaten you before?
Eu confesso que eu estava um pouco vislumbrado com a grandiosidade do PFL. Eu não lutei bem. Fiz algumas mudanças, na verdade. Aquela luta que eu perdi para o Ante me fez fazer várias mudanças no meu treino. E eu acho que o resultado condiz com as mudanças que eu fiz. Então, sexta-feira vocês vão ver um Matheus totalmente diferente. Essa é a primeira vez na minha vida que eu só treino. Eu tinha que trabalhar antes, eu tinha que dar aula, fazer minhas coisas. Então essa é a primeira vez na minha vida que eu fiquei 3 meses só treinando, tendo esse cara na minha cabeça todo dia. Então eu vou dar tudo de mim lá.
I've made some critical changes in my game ever since we last fought. Must confess, my fight week here at the PFL for my first fight, I was kind of in awe with everything and with how great this opportunity was to eventually be potentially fighting for $1 million. And my team and I got together after that loss and we made changes, and you can see the results that came from those changes with my 2 wins that came shortly after. This has been the first time in my entire career as a mixed martial artist that I've been able to solely focus on training. I've not had to teach classes, I've not had to have side gigs or work on other things. I've focused the past 3 months strictly in beating this guy that's sitting right next to me.
Last one for me, Kayla. You were just talking about in judo, it's usual for you fighting the same opponent multiple times. In MMA, is not very common. But would you mind to compare how important was for you fighting Mayra Aguiar multiple times and Larissa multiple times to develop your skills in judo and MMA?
Yeah, man, there's always a Brazilian bringing out the best in me, isn't there? Something about you guys. No, for sure. I fought Mayra, I want to say maybe 16 times or something like that in my judo career. And every time, it's funny how sometimes you fight to your level, right? Whatever you're faced with, sometimes you fight to that level. Like if you fight someone maybe with not as good skills as you, sometimes you don't perform as good as you can. But when you have a great opponent, it brings out the best in you. And Mayra always did that for me in judo, and I feel like Larissa does that as well for me in MMA. She is, by all means, she is a very skilled opponent. She's a great fighter. She has more experience than me. She's been doing this since she was much younger than me. She obviously has better striking than me and hits harder than me. She's a black belt. She has excellent submission defense. She's the toughest person I've ever faced, and I'm grateful for that because it gives me the opportunity to dig deep and to figure out a way to win again. So it's Thanksgiving. We had a lot to be grateful for, and I'm grateful for Larissa Pacheco.
Hi, my question is for Brendan Loughnane. This is Chris Trafford from Combat Sports UK. It seems that the UK is entering into another golden era, and you're widely regarded as one of the best UK featherweights in the world, if not featherweights in the world. What would it mean to bring another championship to the Manchester area?
It means absolutely everything to me. I'm a proud Mancunian, and can I just say, it's going to be a very, very good day for England. Yeah, on Friday. It's going to be football and world titles. How about that one?
Very well. And Stevie Ray, you're also looking for the next UK championship and to become the first Scottish champion. You've overcame so much adversity to get to where you are today. What would it mean to be the next and first Scottish champion?
Yeah, it'd be amazing. Like you said, I've overcome a lot of adversities before. You know, won fights that people doubted me, and here I am today. And yeah, I've always believed in myself and knew that I'm capable of being able to do this. And I feel like, you know, this has been my destiny, and it was meant to be. And Friday night, I've trained my arse off. You know, I'm in shape. I'm healthy. I'm gonna, you know, fight like there's no tomorrow, and obviously, hopefully, get the win. And I'm proud to represent Scotland and the UK.
What's up, Bubba? Dylan Rush with Fight Club over here. You've been known to come up clutch in the most crucial moments of your career, becoming a national champion with ASU in 2011, getting a first-round finish in the semifinal of these playoffs. Now you're fighting for $1 million and a world championship title. What is it about these big moments that helps you thrive and shine under the bright lights?
The lights are bright, but I got a sharp fuse. Been handling this game so long, my thumb's bruised. And that's it.
Thank you. And then lastly, Rob Wilkinson. I was talking to Brandon Royval last night. He told me that like 6 people at Factory X grew mustaches earlier in this year to show support for you. What can you tell me about Coach Mark Montoya and the support system you have over there in Colorado?
Yeah, Mark's an amazing coach, and I've been there for since my first fight, so like 8 months now. Everyone's super friendly there, and I think we're going to have a few people with fake moustaches in the crowd as well.
Okay, thanks for the questions, everybody. And again, thank you very much for being here. We'll be excited to see you on Friday, and hopefully for the weigh-ins a little bit tomorrow as well. We're going to bring President of Fighter Operations, Ray Sefo, out to face these fighters off in just a minute. But before that, one more look at the first ever PFL pay-per-view card. 2022 Season 4 Championship, 6 title fights coming up on Friday night.
From every corner of the globe, they've come. I'm gonna walk the earth. From Scotland to Sweden, Croatia to Tasmania. Ready, fight! I'm gonna walk the earth. 12 fighters, each with countless nights dreaming of a night like the one to come. I'm gonna walk the earth till my life's complete. Will it be the night for Rob Wilkinson, a Tasmanian fighter looking to make history? Or Omari Akhmedov, looking for his first shot at light heavyweight glory? Will it be the night a former barista takes home $1 million? Taylor, pulls the upset! Or will the Swedish Denzel continue to take the division by storm? I walk the earth for you. Can OAM prove he's the next Canadian to wear the crown? Or will Scotland finally crown their champion? Will the Croatian Ante Dilija capture his heavyweight dreams? Or will Matthias Scheffel get his revenge? For Bubba Jenkins, will this be the night he walks the walk? Or will Brendan Loughnane have the last laugh? And finally, will the reign continue for Kayla Harrison? Or will the third time be the charm for Larissa Pacheco? November 25th, New York City, the biggest night in MMA history. This is the PFL 2022 World Championship, presented by Celsius.
At this time, please welcome the president of Fighter Operations, Mr. Ray Sefo.
We'll start the night of championship bouts in the light heavyweight division. Everybody's favorite, the 205ers. Robert Wilkinson out of Australia, Omari Akhmedov.
American top team, here is Umari Akhmedov. In the red corner, fighting out of Hobart, Tasmania, Robert Wilkinson.
Our 2022 PFL Welterweight World Championship features Sadabu C and Delano Taylor.
In the blue corner, fighting out of Miami, Florida, Delano Taylor. In the red corner, fighting out of Stockholm, Sweden, here is Sadabu C.
The $1 million lightweight championship will be contested between OAM, Olivia Aubin-Mercier, and Stevie Ray.
In the blue corner, fighting out of Kirkcaldy 5, Scotland, here is Stevie Ray. In the red corner, fighting out of Montreal, Quebec, Canada, Olivier Aubin-Mercier.
The heavyweights, Ante Dilia and Mateusz Scheffel.
In the blue corner, fighting out of Curitiba, Brazil, here is Mateusz Scheffel. In the red corner, fighting out of Zagreb, Croatia, Ante Dilia.
At 145 pounds, featherweight world championship between Brendan Loughnane and Bubba Badman Jenkins.
In the blue corner, fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada by way of Virginia Beach, Bubba Jenkins. In the red corner, fighting out of Manchester, England, Brendan Loughnane.
And in our main event, a women's lightweight world championship bout, the trilogy, Kayla Harrison and Larissa Pacheco.
In the blue corner, fighting out of Marituba, Brazil, here is Larissa Pacheco. In the red corner, fighting out of Middletown, Ohio, here is the two-time PFL world champion, Kayla Harrison.
The PFL World Championship. Here's our full fight card. 6 title fights, 6 $1 million prizes, and a women's featherweight showcase right smack dab in the middle as Aspen Ladd makes her PFL debut against Julia Budd. Coverage begins on ESPN Plus at 5:30 Eastern Time. ESPN Plus pay-per-view begins Friday at 8 p.m. The first ever PFL pay-per-view card, Professional Fighters League's 2022 World Championship.
Complete in the welterweight.
The press conference is in the books. The weigh-ins are up next. And, of course, Friday, incredible action at Hulu Theater at Madison Square Garden.